3, 2, 1, end of test. King with a go.
Well, hello there, and welcome to another edition of Warbird Wednesday. My name is Fred Bell. I am the Vice Chairman of the Palm Springs Air Museum. Thanks so much for joining us today, and we are continuing to move down Trainer Lane through World War II. We've jumped offshore again. We're going to look at the Japanese. Now, today is something very interesting, and that is completely different philosophies on tackling a problem. And when you look at that, when with these issues, when you're dealing with war fighters, right? People are planning on how to fight wars. That's how the equipment gets built and what they plan to do. This could not be more different. I think it's actually very, very, very interesting. So today we're going to be covering the K11W, which is a Kyushu aircraft. And that is the Japanese name for the aircraft is the white chrysanthemum. But first, Green Giant. But he didn't think he had anything on his head. There was somebody, I remember when I was a kid, that had something on their head, but I am going to go, I look like a cornball. I'm going to go ahead and throw that off camera there to my eager assistant, Jason, my comely assistant, Jason. So what we're going to talk about today is how we just went through a couple of American twin-engine trainers that were training bombardiers and navigators. And now what we're doing is we're looking at the solution at the other side. And you say, but Fred, shouldn't it be the same type of solution? And the answer is no. When you look at the Japanese and what they were doing, by the way, I'll throw up a 0. Greg can find a plan view of a white chrysanthemum and throw it up. When you think about how people solve problems and planners, here's where there was a fork in the road when you think about American planners, war planners, and about Japanese war planners. And the challenge was, what was Japan? Japan was a maritime nation. So all of its striking power is from its carrier fleet. Very highly trained carrier aircraft. They could bomb, they could do high-level bombing. They had Zeros like this that could protect the fleet. And because primarily they were fighting in like China and Manchuria and in areas there, but when you look at the aircraft that were primarily fighting there, you were thinking about aircraft that were basically repurposed naval units. So Japan was very, very dependent on radial engines. They did not have a lot of, these like V12s and things like the Allison or a Merlin. They didn't have that. They eventually licensed a Benz engine and were able to field liquid-cooled aircraft in the middle of the war, but the problem was that they were very temperamental. And so Japanese philosophy completely revolved around this maritime strike force. Now you go over to the other side and you think about the Americans, which we just covered with these twins. America had a slightly developed naval arm, right, with some naval aircraft, but they also had gone all in on land-based aircraft, like let's say a P-40 as an example, or very early P-38s, or, and you still had Brewster Buffaloes and you had Wildcats and things of that nature. But the United States had gone down a path where they were leaning really more heavily on land-based aircraft. Now, fortunately for the United States, the ability to build both types of airplanes worked out really well. with the Japanese because just more resources, more manufacturing. I mean, I don't need to, we've been through that about the American ability to manufacture. But if you look at the Japanese, that impacted all of their philosophy. So the biplane that we covered earlier, the Japanese biplane, was also adaptable as a seaplane. This aircraft, the White Chrysanthemum, the K11W, looked like a pregnant guppy. Single engine, very big, lightly armed, but it was really designed to train bombardiers and navigators. So the Japanese that were training in the White Chrysanthemum were training in a way that they were going to go into what? Maritime aircraft. And so you train for what you're going to fight with. Now the Japanese, I don't want to say fatal mistake, but their big mistake, and history would cover it, was they lost the cream of their naval air arm, which they invested everything in, and it worked. If you look at it, it worked really well for them, but they were never able to recover from the losses at Midway, and then it was just inexorable decline. Until they eventually lost the war. Lots of loss of life. But these aircraft, this particular one was, first flight was in 1942. It was introduced in 1943, had a fairly high build rate at 798. There was a anti-submarine that came out of this, and there was also a transport aircraft that came out of the White Chrysanthemum. And then there was also, they were talking about a maritime denial aircraft that never got past the prototype stage. Now, an interesting thing about Kyushu is the K11W, the first one, was actually made out of all metal, and then they went back and built some of the variants out of all wood. So if you can imagine an aircraft, again, a pregnant guppy the size of the White Chrysanthemum, that is absolutely amazing that they built it completely out of wood. So today, the folks that I want to recognize are all of the training personnel that trained our carrier aircraft, because at the end of the day, if our carriers had not bested the Japanese, which we talked about, that was their cream of the crop, the creme de la creme. If we had not beaten them, it would only have been a matter of time before they had moved and attacked Hawaii and gone on. So they didn't, but it was all due to those United States Navy trainers, air crews, the folks that trained up on the Great Lakes. We've covered a lot of what happened with that. But if we didn't have that training with the United States Navy and aviation, we would have been totally toast. So, totally toast. That's a historical coverage. This is Jones, Cane Sugar Mafia. Jones Cane Sugar Blue Bubblegum Soda. This looks like a glycol antifreeze. Independent since 1996. Let's see, 140 calories, not that bad. It does have a cash redemption. So we're going to go ahead, and it's a little cold. So we're going to go ahead and pop that, a little bit of a fizz. Here we go. That's not terrible. It's not stale, which is not bad. You're slipping, Jason. But again, all those United States Navy Training Command and air crews that trained and all those folks never got any recognition. I salute you. That's pretty good. Now, an interesting Fred fun fact that is actually, I'm going to go back and do the research on this just because I'm interested. This aircraft was so unknown to the Allies that it didn't, like the Zero or the Kate or the Val or the Judy. We gave them all code names. The K11W had no code name. Very, very unusual. I'm not sure. And you figure the build rate was 798 airplanes. You would think they'd be able to do that, but didn't happen. The sad fate that awaited all the white chrysanthemums at the end of the war was kamikaze. They were used in kamikazes. I actually did some research to find out if there are any significant engagements where they could be called out. They probably were used in some engagements but misidentified because the Allies weren't really used to seeing them. I could not find any significant engagements that they were used, but we do know they were used as kamikazes. And we also saw right at the end of the war that some of them with that like weird paint job at the end of the war, I think it was a green cross, I could be wrong, would end up in Allied hands, and the Allies were flying some of them, which I thought was really bizarre. Now, if you have a young one at home, or you are simply young at heart, you will want to build this. This is ages 6+, so it's something that I can play with. This is a very, very cool kind of like Lego model. It is an aerial military fighter. Now, the interesting thing is, I'm not sure that Greg can get this, but the beard on this guy is it almost looks like a Jason beard, just that kind of slight dusting over the chops. He definitely has a mutton chop beard. Now, if you want one of these, click on that link. Jason will happily run down to the post office and get you one of those, and you can start building your Lego fighter. Now, we cannot do all of this, including these displays, without some dinero. So if you would click on that link in the description, give us a few bucks, we would appreciate it. If you came across us on Facebook or YouTube and you do not mind one-take Warbird overviews, we are your channel. Go ahead and forward us to other people. Give us a subscription on YouTube, a like, a comment. We love those. We will get back to you. So we want to thank you on social media. But if you come across us, go ahead and forward us to a friend. If you're teaching the kiddos at home, the education book links are also included in this program down in the description. Go ahead and click on those. You can do everything from a specific lesson, or if you just want to read those to the kids or teach them about the various things we do, everything from the humanities all the way up to the stealth fighter. Click on those links and we will happily give those to you for free. My name is Fred Bell. I am the Vice Chairman of the Palm Springs Air Museum. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
3, 2, 1, end of test. King with a go.
Day, all my fears have gone away. I guess this means I'm here to stay. Yeah, I'm ready to fly, ready to fly. Wasn't long ago I shook at the thought of being hooked. But ever since I wrote my book, I'm ready to fly, ready to fly.
Come along and join us, we can plug you in a simulator. We'll teach you how to dance and be the perfect